This Ping driver has 24 different combinations of settings, 8 different loft settings and 3 different weight distributions. But how important is the setting to the golfer? And how much difference can each setting really make? In today's video, I'm going to put all 24 settings to the test to find out which one's best for me and to give you guys at home an understanding of how important your driver setting actually is. Let's get into it. So how's this test going to actually work? Like I said, there's 24 different settings in this driver. So I'm going to hit 20 shots with each setting. That should give me enough data to analyze. I'm going to look into a few different things. I want to know how many fairways I can hit with each setting. I want to know what the carry and the total distances are. I want to know how much it's spinning the golf ball. And I want to know what the launch angle is. I'm also very keen to understand what kind of effect the weight distribution at the back has on spin axis. The spin axis of the ball basically defines what kind of shape you're going to hit. A draw or a fade or bullet straight. That's the key number I'm going to look at to decide how much of a difference the weight distribution has on shot shape. So we've got a lot to look at, and I've got a hell of a lot of golf balls to hit. As usual, I'm not going to show you every single shot. That would be super boring. And it's going to take me a good 2 to 3 days to get this test done. So here's a little montage for you, and I will catch up with you in a few days for the results.
Pro V1s aren't as indestructible as they say they are.
That was a huge 3 days of testing. If you include warm-up, I hit well over 500 shots for this test, all with the driver. And quite frankly, I'm knackered. But the results are in, and they make for some very interesting reading. First things first, I'm going to show you all of the results for the test. Now, I know there's a huge amount of numbers on the screen right now, but don't worry, I'm going to go through absolutely everything in its own merit. I just want to provide you with all of the results so you can screenshot them and look at them in your own time. I couldn't fit all of the results on the same screen, unfortunately, so here are the results for the flat lie angle positions of the driver. Again, pause, screenshot, have a look in your own time, but yes, these are all of the results for you. But let's break it down into what's important here. One of the biggest things I wanted to know was how much of a difference does the back weight on this driver actually make on shot shape? Does the weight position actually matter? Well, to be honest with you, yeah, it does. I wasn't sure if the weight on the back of the driver actually changed the shot shape, but it really does. Now at the moment, I've got a bit of a natural draw with the driver, and it didn't matter what position I put the weight in, I still had the draw. But the size of that draw changed with each weight position. Now, as you can imagine, the draw setting drew the ball more. Sounds so obvious. But anyway, it's true. In the draw setting, the average spin axis was minus 6.56. Now, if you're not a geek, that number might seem a bit irrelevant, but it equates to a 12-yard draw. In the neutral setting, the spin axis was minus 4.43. which was an 8-yard draw. And finally, in the fade setting, the spin axis was minus 2.71, which was just a 4-yard draw. Now, like I said, I'm a natural drawer of the golf ball with a driver at the moment, but the fade setting actually reduced my draw by 8 yards, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it meant I hit a lot more fairways. Out of all 480 shots I hit, the average amount of fairways I hit was 66%. Now, if we have a look at how many fairways each weight position hit, the draw position hit 58% fairways, the neutral position hit 64% fairways, and the fade position hit a whopping 80% of fairways. Now, I think it's obvious where I need to position the weight on my driver. If I want to hit more fairways, I need to put it in the fade position. Now, for you guys at home, if you're more of a fader of the golf ball and you want to hit it straighter, chuck it in the draw position. It might not turn your fade into a draw, but it will definitely straighten up your shot shape. If you're normally a straight hitter, well, just leave it in the neutral position and it'll give you even more forgiveness. But yeah, overall, very impressed that this weight was able to change the shot shape so much. Now, I've always had my weight in the neutral position because I thought that's where the most forgiveness was. But it turns out, if I just put it in the fade position, I'm going to hit way more fairways, which is good news. Club Champ's coming up and I need to hit some fairways. On to the next topic. Now, changing loft can feel like a bit of a dark art at times. When you change your loft, so many things change with it. How much the ball spins, how high the ball launches, even the starting direction of the golf ball changes. Now, that's the same with most drivers, and obviously it's the same with the Ping G425 LST. As you can imagine, the higher the setting I used, the more spin I got, the higher the ball launched, and as a right-handed golfer, the more left the ball started. Naturally, with the lower settings, the opposite was happening. And obviously the ball was carrying further in the lower lofted settings. But there's a fine balance to be struck between forgiveness and distance. For example, yes, the distance was much further with the 7.5 degree settings, but my bad shots with the 7.5 degree setting were a lot worse. Some of the worst shots in my testing were with the lower lofted settings, but at the same time it was so painful to see how short the drives were going in the 10.5 degree settings. And that's what I mean by there being a need for a balance to be struck. Now, unfortunately, I have a really annoying swing issue that means I hit the ball high as a rule anyway. Basically, I'm releasing the club too early and just launching the ball really high, which means I need a slightly lower setting to optimize my spin. Now, considering I'm swinging the golf club between 100 and 105 miles an hour, I need to be aiming for around 2 to 2,250 spin just to make sure that I'm keeping up distance-wise. Any more than that and I really start to lose some distance. And it's solely because I'm launching the ball too high. When you look at Rory McIlroy, for example, he launches the ball on average between 10 and 11 degrees, but he has a spin of 2,400. So he's got optimal launch angle and enough spin to maintain some distance as well as forgiveness. Now, us mere mortals don't have the luxury of speed to help us in that department, but we do have the ability to change the loft settings. If you hit it fairly low without a lot of spin, just increase the loft. You'll see more forgiveness. For me, I need help hitting it a little bit lower, and that means I need to sacrifice a little bit of forgiveness. But luckily, I've gained in forgiveness by moving the weight to the fade position. So with any luck, if I set my driver in the 8 degree loft setting and the weight in the fade position, I should be able to hit it far enough to keep up with everyone and hit enough fairways to take advantage of that distance. I've done a huge amount of learning with this test. I'm really glad I've done it. Now, the Ping driver sleeve has one more trick up its sleeve, and that's changing the lie angle. This Ping sleeve can change the lie angle by flattening it by 3 degrees. Basically, what that means is the toe is pointing further down towards the floor, which means that the loft of the club face is pointing further right, which means as a right-handed golfer, you can start the ball further right, which is exactly what I need. Now, in the standard lie settings, on average, I was starting the ball 0.4 degrees left. When you couple that start line with the draw that I hit naturally, it means I was constantly going left. Now, as a rule, I was still hitting fairways, but it means I bring a lot more trouble in from the left-hand side. In the flatter lie angle setting, I was able to change my start line by half a degree, which means I was basically starting the ball dead straight on target. Now, starting it straighter gave me 2 advantages. I was hitting the middle of the fairway a little bit more often, and I was reducing how much curve I had on the golf ball. Unfortunately, that didn't show in the results. I'll be honest with you, I was testing the flatter lie angles on the final day of the test, and I was knackered. My body was in pain, had blisters on my hands, and my legs were wrecked. But theoretically, the driver setting that's best for me, based on these results, should be 8 degrees of loft in the flat lie angle setting and the weight in the fade position. According to the results, with that driver setting, I should be hitting 270-yard bombs straight down the middle of the fairway 80% of the time with a nice little 3 to 4 yard draw. I mean, we'll see about that, but this has been a really interesting test. Something I've been meaning to do for a while, ever since I got the Golf Simulator, to be honest. And if you're a bit of a geek or a nerd like me, you'll probably find this video quite interesting. Hopefully some of you have found it helpful as well. But if you have enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. So if you're returning to the channel or you've just found me, please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to put videos out every week to help mid-handicap golfers just like me learn and understand the game a little bit more, to help them improve. I think this video's probably done that. So until next week, thanks for watching.